That's a good hammer. That's an S-wing hammer. I've probably had that 20 years. It does a lot of work. But there's a lot of hammers on the market these days. There's features and there's materials and there's what kind of handle and how heavy. I mean, there's a lot of things to think about when you're getting ready to lay down your cash, whether it's 20 bucks or $400 for a hammer. What do you need to know before you commit your money to the tool that's going to build some big portion of what you use to build your career? So I've got this little collection of hammers in front of me here, and we're going to break them down: handle type, characteristics of the head, and features. I mean, what do these things each bring to the party that the others are either competing with or not competing with? And then we're going to further sort of break this down about wear and tear on your body, maintenance on the tool, and what you can do with any whiz-bang features that somebody saw fit to include. Maybe that's worthwhile. One of the things about an S-wing is value. These things are not priced like a boutique hammer. They're not a boutique hammer. But over time, that blue handle gets a boutique look. Your granddad had one like this, and your dad had one like this, and there's something to that. I mean, there's something to the longevity. They will drive nails just like anybody else. But I hear whisperings that they are harder on your elbows. Can't speak to that exactly. This is an antique hammer. It belonged to Kelly's granddad. It was his all-around hammer, and he would be laughed off the job now. That's a finish hammer, if anything. Steel head, smooth face, wood short handle. Let's see if it'll drive a sinker. It does the work. It would also do the work of a finish nail. Tap, 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 tap. Not leave a lot of tracks. A guy can get plenty of work done for that, and you can find them for no money. Now, on the other hand, this little stiletto, titanium head, 10 ounces, hickory handle, not made for or intended to drive sinkers. The lighter weight is compensated for with more speed. Now, if I showed up today on a framing job with that, yeah, they would send me down the road. If I walked into a finish job, if I was hanging doors and case and base, yep, we're right at home. But in either case, even that little baby hammer will get the work done. All right, now I'm going to pick these two things up because this was the factory stiletto handle that came in this 14 ounce stiletto Ruger titanium hammerhead. I got maybe 15 years out of that. Heck, maybe more. You can see it gradually wore away from hanging in my hammer loop. I was doing remodels and additions, and I didn't pull out many nails. I don't need to pull out many nails nowadays, and I wasn't. When I switched to form work, I would use my S-wing that I already showed you. So I'm just showing you that to point out that replacing hammer handles is only a thing if you're using the hammer for a job it was not intended for. This is a great hammer. Way more energy than those lighter hammers. Not as much energy, perhaps, as my rigging axe, but plenty for doing work. And you know what? I'm a believer that lighter head, greater speed, wood handle is easier on the joints. I believe it. That's what my wrist tells me, or told me when I started using this instead of my other hammers. Now let's segue over to the first cousin. Same company. Stiletto. Not the only game in town with titanium hammers, but the only two hammers I have with miles on them. The miles on this one were put on by Dustin Furch. Big Dustin. Concrete finisher extraordinaire. And you know what? He can set the forms too. Okay, so that is Dustin's 15-ounce T-bone, 100% titanium, rubber handle. I mean, it's a go-getter. But Dustin's a go-getter. Dustin made the transition from a hammer like this to a hammer like this when he realized that he was just tearing the wood handles out, stripping forms, and especially at crunch time when he was getting behind on stripping and facing some curb forms and just tore the head right off at a single blow. He stepped up to one of these. This is the second one. The first one was stolen, but he's a fan. And if Dustin has field tested something, I mean, you can take it to the bank. Speaking of the right tool for the right job, this is what I used for a long time to drive concrete stakes when I was setting forms. I would use this to drive the stakes, and I would use something like this. Actually, I would use this to dig the dirt, right? Scrape, scrape, drive, drive, pull, pull, stake, stake. That was before I came up with one of these. This thing will drive the stakes and dig the dirt. So think about that. If you're a form setter and you're deciding between this or this or this, you ought to be thinking about this. Now here is something that just showed up. And I would not have imagined that I would be including this in a conversation about the tried and the true, because this is, I mean, that's an odd looking hammer, isn't it? And that's because this particular tool, I have to admit, is way more than just a hammer. Here's what I mean. Let's see how it drives a nail. I haven't driven a nail with this yet. Feels good. Let's see how it pulls a nail. Now, where's another one of those? This hammer alone on the table has a magnetic nail holder that will easily receive a duplex. That's good if you're a form carpenter. I'm not feeling much vibration. All right. Oh boy, that is a pull. Oh, let's do this. See that? First time. Okay, that pretty slick. That's the beginning of where this thing kind of becomes more than just a hammer. So here is where this thing becomes not a hammer at all. That's 16 inches. You see the utility of that. Here's 1.5 inches. You see the utility of that. We've got 1.5 inches up here. Boom, right there. And then this, that's 3 3/4. That's 3. Seems like there'd be a 3.5 inch on there someplace. But this is a layout tool. Now look at this. Look at this. This got my instant grudging admiration. That, sports fans, is square. This, how would this work? I guess you can line up like that. You can line up, oh, that's it. You hook the end of the face against the work and that against the work, and you've got a 45. Man. Yeah.
One more genius feature on this funny looking hammer is a saw wrench right on the end of the handle. With carbide saw blades, you don't have to change them out very often, but when you do, the saw wrench is right on the end of this hammer handle.
So here's a couple more things, and I'll just throw down, I'm not in the habit of unboxing something and bragging about it. And yeah, they gave that to me, but I'm probably never going to use it. I mean, I'm just probably not. I might, but it's very respectable. Look at this. You see these caps that came with it? All right, funny looking. You never see anything like that on the job site. But if you're a roofer and you're putting those little brad plastic-headed things down to hold your tar paper or your synthetic underlayment, what a nightmare it is to try to hold that with your hand. Man, if you're a roofer, boys, that alone. So Boss Hammer, you kind of cut to the head of the line there with me. I don't usually do this. And let me reiterate to the rest of you guys, they didn't give me any money. I'm going to use this hammer in here for woodwork because I can tap frames together with that and not leave a hammer mark. So if I can reach any conclusions here, maybe you start with one of these or something like it. I mean, it's hard to beat. It's hard to do better and you can do a lot worse. Maybe start with one of those. If you're a roofer or a layout guy and you need these additional time savers and you think you could learn to use your hammer as a layout tool instead of pulling out your speed square all the time, and I think any of us could learn that. And if you wanted the advantage of a real short fulcrum and a magnetic nail set that will set a duplex as well as a sinker or anything else, man, a guy could learn to do a lot of good work with that, and it doesn't cost too much. If you're an all-around guy, remodel, renovation, strictly framing maybe, roof stacker, man, I love that. I just love it. And if you do a lot of heavier work, if you've got to knock a lot of stakes out of the ground and just do some blasting and some shredding and a little framing, Dustin swears by it. That's as good a recommendation as I can give you. But sort of to wrap it up, when you decide what you want and you don't want to spend the money for it, tell your people you want it for Christmas or Father's Day. I mean, that comes around. They worry about what to get you for your birthday. And in the meantime, what really matters is you've got your nail gun, you've got your hammer, you've got your assignment, you've got work to do, you are developing the desire to do the best work you can within the time budget that they allow you. So just drop your hammer into your bags, get out there, be careful, and get some work done. Thanks for watching Essential Craftsman, and keep up the good work.